Great, so you want to learn a new language. I've been learning English for the past 7 years. Journey that you'll take while learning the language is totally worth it. So the first thing I would recommend is to dive into environment with that language. All the interfaces that I used on my phone, on my social media, I switched them to the language I've been learning, surrounding you all the time. So with time you'll get used to it. Second thing I would recommend is to use apps to learn a language. First of all, start with Duolingo. It's really helpful.
But that owl is fucking scary.
Also, I used to use a Discord chats in which you can find people that are native in the language that you're learning, and they might actually help you. And you can just, if you are advanced and you already know language quite a bit, you can even try to speak with them in the language that you're learning. Now, also, the language consists of 4 main things, which is vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation and listening. So, don't try to focus on just one of these things. Listening and pronunciation is the thing that comes the last. So, when you just start, try to focus on vocabulary and grammar. When I try to use different techniques, just try with it, experiment. When I was learning English, just to remember words that I was learning, I used to pronounce them quite differently. For example, word vocabulary. In order to remember how it's spelled, I would pronounce it by single letter. So basically, vocabulary or something like that. Because by pronouncing it this way, you can actually hear every single letter in a word that you say. For example, also like precious, I would say like precios. It's kind of like, Mexican or Spain accent, I'd say. But you can actually, it's way much easier to remember how the word is spelled, and it's actually helpful. Now, if you want to expand your pronunciation and vocabulary, use also this. This is vocabulary, Russian to English for me. So, quite big. All you need, every single word that you might need, in a daily basis. Also, it helps that in the back of it, there are a lot of rules on how to pronounce words. In order to improve your pronunciation and listening, what I used to do is that I used to watch YouTube videos or films or movies with just subtitles. First of all, I would start with subtitles in my own language so that I at least could understand what is going on the screen. And then I will switch to the subtitles of the language that movie is in. So it really helps because you can kind of correlate what they are saying and how it sounds like. And then you will get used to with time how does the language sound. For example, if your main language is English, it might be quite fine for you. You might not even pay attention at that. The fact that there are so many different accents in English. There are Australian, UK, American, and there are inside of them there are very much more and diverse group of accents. So trust me, it's not only about English, it's about every single language you can just learn these days. So the more you listen, the difference between accents, it will make easier for you to grasp. It's not going to be easy, but trust me, if you make this process interesting, then it's going to be all worth it. I used to also come up with the games, for example. I would start thinking in my head like I usually do, but in the language that I was learning, for example in English. And if I want to use some word, but I don't know how it sounds in the language that I learn, I would just go to vocabulary or use Google Translate to actually know what it means. And with time it becomes very much easier. Also, because I used to watch a lot of videos in English, a lot of words I didn't even search for them. I didn't even search what they meant. But by the context of how they were used, I could understand what did it mean. So, also when you just start your journey, don't focus on small things. Like example, there are truly important things, but they're truly important things, but they might knock you off of this journey. It might make the whole process quite boring and just not interesting whatsoever, and you'll drop it. So do it the way you want to, make it interesting, and trust me, it's gonna worth it. Try it, speak it, listen it, talk it. What I also used to do is that I used to record myself speaking, and I was reading like some book or something. Doesn't really matter, any text you can find in any language that you learn. I would find any text in English and start just reading it and listening to myself. And then I knew quite well how does the English speech sound normally, and I used to compare it. I used to think of the ways that I could improve on that, and so it will sound the exact same way. So sometimes you can, if you are quite familiar with the accents in English, you might find sometimes that I say different words in different accents, and that's unfortunately the thing that comes with it. So stay blessed, stay motivated. It's not that as hard as you think. Don't pay attention at the amount of time that it makes you to learn. Trust the process, and with time you'll get better and you'll notice it right away. So don't worry, everything is gonna be alright and you're gonna make it.